Hello everyone, welcome to Vijay Mohan IAS Academy. This is Vijay Mohan. Hope everyone is doing well and preparing well. So as everybody knows that recently Telangana and AP government has announced made an announcement regarding the recruitment process, and particularly as far as Groupon is concerned, Telangana government has announced that it is going to fill up around 500 plus vacancies, and AP government has announced that it is going to fill up nearly 100 plus vacancies. More precisely, it is 110 in AP. So if you observe AP, in this video I will be going to deal with the AP related Group 1. So if you observe the AP government's announcement that it has announced to recruit around 110 vacancies in Group 1, and if you observe this 100 posts, many of them are cream vacancies or cream posts. So it is good time and opportune time to prepare and enter into Group 1 services as far as AP and Telangana are concerned. So in this video I will be mainly discussing with APPSC Group I Mains paper 4, that is Indian Economy and AP Economy, chapter 1, and I will be going to introduce chapter 1 and approach of the chapter 1, how to approach, which areas you need to concentrate and which areas you can expect a question, and how to make notes, and how to how to deal with the answers, and I'll briefly introduce the chapter. So before going into introduction and approach of chapter 1, I want to tell you that I want to tell you 4 points that why APPSC has changed the Group 1 syllabus. So if you observe, after 2008 or 2010, there are many changes as far as Indian economy is concerned, because Indian economy or economy as a subject itself is very dynamic and complex. So it is in that view, it is because of that aspect that APPSC has changed the syllabus, and they have combined Indian economy and AP economy into a whole package. It means the syllabus, they framed it in such a way that it reflects opportunities, it reflects challenges, and it also demands solutions from the aspirants. So you can say that the syllabus which is framed by APPSC is reflecting the modern trends, challenges, opportunities, potential and capabilities of Indian economy and AP economy, and they are expecting the aspirant to have the first hand knowledge about Indian economy or AP economy's nature, its scope, its opportunities, its challenges, and what are the solutions to overcome those challenges. So this is what they are expecting, and because of this they have changed the syllabus in such a way that it will reflect the holistic approach of the economy. Now why I used word approach instead of read? See, as far as Group 1 exam is concerned, the crux of the exam or the important part of the examination is mains examination. How well you will be dealing with the mains examination will decide your rank or your selection into the service. So in order to crack the mains examination, merely reading is not enough. A mere reading is not enough. Simply, if you say that simply you will be reading this material or that material, or you will be getting some notes, some coaching institute notes, it is not going to be enough. So that is the reason why I use the word approach instead of read. You should be knowing how to approach the syllabus, how to decode the syllabus, how to consolidate the information according to exam orientation. So you have to read, or you have to approach, or you have to frame your notes according to exam orientation. This is very important. Exam orientation is very important, and you have to notes accordingly, and you have to revise it, and you have to do answer writing practice, a lot of answer writing practice. Then you will be nearer to your success. So that is why I used approach instead of read, because mere reading is not going to give any results to you. Your approach should be very neat and clean, and you will be able to decode the syllabus, and you should be able to make notes according to exam's requirement. And one more thing, that the notes making should be in such a way that it will be useful for your exam, right? You should be very, what do you say, cautious. You should be very conscious while making notes also, because every line that you are putting in your notes must be useful for you for your end exam. Otherwise you will be wasting your time and energy while making notes, because notes making is a never ending process. A lot of students, I observe that they always want to make notes. They don't know how to use that notes. So your notes making must be with the exam orientation, with the view of exam orientation. Every line or every point you are mentioning in your notes must be useful for your answer writing practice. So that is another thing. And another thing, what role this paper will play in final selection. If you observe that economy paper, especially group 1 economy paper, you are having it for 150 marks, and this is very important paper as far as scoring area is concerned. If you have good thorough grip, or if you have a good a knowledge of economy, or if you are having a good scope in economy paper, if you score good in economy paper, it will leapfrog your rank, and it will be very useful for your final selection. So this is very important paper as far as your total selection is concerned. And if you prepare well in this paper, there is good scope for you to score good marks, because in economy paper, if an aspirant has prepared well, then the gap between that aspirant and gap between the aspirant who has not done well in economy paper will be more. So in fact, this paper will play a crucial role in the final selection of the aspirant. That is one more point that I want to stress. And another one, connectivity with other papers. If you observe the syllabus of the paper 4, then it is very useful for your paper 1, that is essay paper, and your paper 2, especially in geography part, it will be very useful, because if you read an economy in connection with geography, or in connection with geography, because geography and economy, some parts are interrelated, so it will be useful for your paper 2 geography part, and paper 5 especially for energy related issues and ICT related issues. And one more aspect is environment and development. So there are large interlinkages to this paper to other papers also. So you have to keep that also in mind, and you have to prepare accordingly, so that it will be useful for other papers also. So this is the importance of the economy paper. Now the syllabus is divided into Indian economy and AP economy. Indian economy is consisting of 7 chapters, and AP economy is consisting of 5 chapters. And Indian economy, so if you divide it into in percentage terms, Indian economy is consisting of roughly 58% of the syllabus, and AP economy is 42% of the syllabus. So both are equally important, and you have to concentrate on both of the constituent parts. Now we will come to the first chapter. I will briefly tell you about this, how to approach this, and what are the areas that you need to concentrate. So first chapter is major challenges of Indian economy. If you observe, the syllabus has introduced major challenges of Indian economy to the aspirant, because the syllabus demands from the aspirants that they should know what are the first-hand information, or they should know first-hand knowledge, what are the major challenges of Indian economy. They are not telling only challenges, they are telling major challenges of Indian economy, like macroeconomic issues. So they want to know that the average aspirant should know what are the challenges, macroeconomic challenges that Indian economy is facing. So in a way, it is like introduction to the other chapters also. So first he wants to make sure that an aspirant should know the challenges, and in these challenges he is only stressing on macroeconomic challenges, not all the challenges. So if you observe, these challenges are not under the sun. He has specifically mentioned in the syllabus. If you see inconsistent growth rate, so low growth rates of agriculture and manufacturing sectors, so he is talking about growth rate, and inflation and oil prices, current account deficit and unfavorable balance of payments, falling rupee, growing NPAs and capital infusion, money laundering and black money, and insufficient financial resources and deficiency of capital, lack of inclusive growth and sustainable development. See, if you observe, all the aspects that he has given in the first chapter are related to macroeconomic fundamentals like growth rate, inflation, balance of payments, NPAs, and lack of inclusive growth and sustainable development. So these are the issues that aspirants should know, and you have to observe the last line in the syllabus, that is nature, causes, consequences and solutions of this problem. So this last line is crux as far as this chapter is concerned. He is telling, the syllabus is demanding that the syllabus is telling that what is the nature of major challenges of Indian economy, and what are the causes for these challenges, and what are the consequences of these challenges, and what are the solutions of these problems. So in this perspective you have to approach this chapter. If you observe, so the syllabus as far as first chapter is concerned, it is expecting the aspirant to have knowledge of major challenges of Indian economy, and it is discussing only macroeconomic challenges, and it is demanding a comprehensive approach of the aspirants, and it is preparing aspirants for coming chapters. It is like introduction in itself to the other chapters. So this is the thing that you have to remember. And as I already told you, the key aspect of the first chapter syllabus is this slide: nature, causes, consequences and solutions of this problem. So what are the present challenges? These are not under the sun, as I told you. It was defined broadly in syllabus itself, that as I told you, that only macroeconomic issues has been discussed. And if you decode it phrase by phrase, the first one is inconsistent growth rate. In this one, the aspirant should concentrate on in the first instance, why there is an inconsistent growth rate. What is the Hindu rate of growth, and what is the Hindu rate of growth, and how Indian economy has traversed from Hindu rate of growth to stable growth in reform period. If you observe that in reform period, during reform period, there was some sort of stable growth if you compare it to earlier growth rate. And after the reform, and after that, Indian economy achieved a rapid growth during large part of first decade of 21st century. That is around 2008, 2009 or 2006, 2007. There was Indian economy's rapid growth. Indian economy had grown rapidly. So what is the reasons and what are the nature for that growth? Then after that, because of international financial crisis, there is a reduction in the growth. So there is a reduced growth rate after 2008, and after post pandemic there is a recovery. After pandemic there is some sort of recovery is happening, and that recovery also you have to see. So these are the why there is an inconsistent growth rate in the Indian economy, and these are the broad phases that you have to observe as far as growth rates are concerned. So in this way you have to approach this part. So what is its nature? If you observe, in 2000s there was a rapid growth of Indian economy. For that rapid growth, you can say that the consumption based pattern of growth is more emphasized during that period. So during that period, Indian economy is booming on the basis of the consumption demand in the economy, and also investment and savings rate. So because of the higher investments and higher saving rates, and because of the consumption demand going on in the Indian economy, the growth was very rapid. And another one, if you observe, so recently there was a reduction in the growth rate of the Indian economy because of the pandemic related lockdowns or pandemic related restrictions. So it is also some kind of phase in the Indian economy. So these are the types, these are the natures of growth rate that you have to observe, or you have to approach in this in this chapter. And what are its effect on macroeconomy, distributive justice and inclusivity? How inclusivity has been affected? For example, for instance, if you observe that after this COVID-19 pandemic has hit the economy, there is a disruption in inclusivity, and there is a disruption in distributive justice. If you observe, many of the international reports are reporting that because of the pandemic related disruptions, there is an increase in inclusivity, there is an increase in inequality in Indian economy. So these are the things that you need to observe as far as this chapter is concerned. And what are the solutions, what are the policy efforts, and what are the specific sector specific efforts to overcome these challenges. So if you, for instance, if you observe that the union budget of 2022-23, so here you need to also have a perspective on Indian budget, recent Indian budget and economic survey, and you have to connect this syllabus with the recent union budget and economic survey, and find out the challenges from there, find out the solutions from there, and find out the nature and traverse of nature and nature and scope of the Indian economy from Indian Union Budget and Economic Survey. And that is to say that your preparation in this chapter or in the economy must be correlated with the Indian Economic Survey and Union Budget. Then you will be developing a comprehensive answer for your mains. So if you observe the solutions, you can say that the Indian economy is having for the present challenges that economy has been facing. You can connect it with the Union Budget 2022-23. If you say in Union Budget, the 4 priorities has been mentioned by the government. What are the 4 priorities? PM Gati Shakti, that is infrastructure related one, and inclusive development, and productivity enhancement and investment, sunrise opportunities, energy transition and climate action, and financing of investments. So while you're writing answer in mains, you can suggest that these 4 priorities which are mentioned by the government during Union Budget may be the right solutions for our challenges, for our macroeconomic challenges. So in this way, you have to connect your syllabus or your preparation with the recent Union Budget and economic survey. So now, if you take another aspect, low growth rates of agriculture and manufacturing sector. So what is its nature again? So whether confined to certain sectors like core agriculture or also to the other subsectors like fisheries, dairying, etc. So in this aspect, if you see that the other subsectors like fisheries or poultry or dairying, they are increasing rapidly, and the growth in that sector, the value addition in those sectors are more compared to the core agriculture. So what are the reasons for the rapid growth in the agriculture subsectors, and what are the problem areas in the core agriculture sector? Why productivity enhancement or productivity is not increasing in commensurate with the investment? Why public investment is reducing in core agriculture? So these are the areas that you need to focus as far as this chapter is concerned, and see why low growth rates in agriculture sector, and what are the consequences of these growth rates as far as agriculture. What are the consequences on production, productivity, value addition, food distribution? As far as manufacturing, what are the consequences on MSMEs, exports, value addition, trade deficit, development of ancillary industries, etc. See, recently you have to connect it with a recent aspect. If you observe that recently our exports has crossed $400 billion. So while preparing for this manufacturing sector issue, you have to connect it with the exports potential. So though there are a lot of challenges, low growth rates in manufacturing sector, the exports from this sector and the exports from the performance of the MSMEs are slowly increasing and slowly becoming stronger. So in this way, you have to develop a comprehensive view of the syllabus. So if you observe the previous questions from this section particularly, if you just see the question, state some of the notable initiatives taken by the government recently to boost the growth of manufacturing sector in India. It was asked in APPSC 2020. And another question is, highlight some of the major factors which are leading to low agricultural productivity in India. This is also asked in the same exam. So if you observe, there are questions directly from the manufacturing sector and agriculture sector. So directly he is asking about notable initiatives as far as manufacturing is concerned and problem areas, major factors leading to low agricultural productivity in India. So he is in the first question he is concentrating on solutions or schemes. In the second question he is concentrating on problem areas. So these are the things. First you find problem areas, then you find solutions. First you find problem areas, then in this one you just find out the nature of problem areas, scope of problem areas, and consequences, causes of the problem areas. Then you go to solution schemes. Then automatically your your exam preparation will be half done. Now I made it a point to show what are the recent schemes or notable initiatives taken by the government for the growth of manufacturing sector, roughly for the idea of aspirants. If you see the initiatives in manufacturing sector, PLI scheme has been introduced, PM Gati Shakti National Monetization Plan has been PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan has been initiated, National Single Window System has been initiated, Industrial Corridor projects has also been initiated, Startup India is another program, and FDI policy liberalization has also been introduced as far as manufacturing sector is concerned. And if you move to next aspect, inflation and oil prices, current account deficit, unfavorable balance of payments, falling of rupee value. So if you observe here, inflation and oil prices, maybe as far as this time examination is concerned, this inflation and oil prices are going to be very important. And because of the international geopolitical situations and international issues and Ukrainian situation, the aspect of oil prices and inflation in Indian economy is going to be very important as far as coming exams are concerned. So how to approach these aspects? So definitional aspect, what is core inflation, what is headline inflation? Sometimes they might be directly asking define core inflation and headline inflation and bring out the major differences as far as core and headline inflation is concerned in Indian economy. Like that, they might ask directly the question. And what is the cost push inflation and what is current account deficit? So simply first you prepare the definitions of what are all given, definitions of the aspects like inflation, current account deficit, balance of payments. Then you need to connect it to geostrategic issues like Ukraine war, international sanctions on Iran, shale boom in US, protectionist policies adopted by different nations, etc. Then what are the consequences of these challenges on macroeconomic stability, on sovereign ratings, on market borrowings, on external commercial borrowings and investment flows, etc. And what are the solutions? Diversified energy basket is one kind of solution, and promoting renewable energy is another kind of solution, and Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, etc. So in this holistic manner you have to prepare your notes, or you have to revise, or you have to write your answer writing. Then you will be able to understand the nuances of the subject, understand the nuances of the question, and you will be able to provide a clear answer for any question that is being asked in the examination. And if you observe another thing, growing NPS and capital infusion, non-performing assets. So what is the definition of non-performing asset, and what is the nature, whether it is PSB dominated or private sector bank dominated, why it is rapidly increasing, why now it is being stabilized, and what are the causes, what are the main sectors that are responsible for NPS, like power sector, telecom. So in this way you have to prepare. And what are the government initiatives to reduce the non-performing assets, like insolvency and bankruptcy code, and what are the RBI initiatives, prompt corrective action, etc. So if you observe the government initiatives as far as insolvency and bankruptcy code are concerned, so if you observe the economic survey of this year, then economic survey of India this year has given a comprehensive overview of the insolvency and bankruptcy code. So and moreover they have discussed about the cross-border insolvency, and also what is the success so far, or what is the status of insolvency so far has been achieved after the enactment of IBC. So in this way you have to connect your syllabus with the present economic survey and budget. So one more thing, money laundering and black money. So what is the nature of money laundering, and what is the extent of money laundering and black money, how widespread it is, and what is the quantity of the black money being generated, and which sectors are the reasons, or in which sectors the black money has been concentrated. For example, real estate sector, and education is also one of the aspects where a lot of black money is being flown. So what are the causes, and what are the consequences of the increased money laundering and black money, and what are the solutions, what are the government efforts, and what are the legislative efforts. So for this one you can refer to National Institute of Public Finance. So National Institute of Public Finance and Policy has released a paper as far as money laundering and black money are concerned, and also government has released one white paper as far as money laundering and black money is concerned. These things you can refer, so that you will have a broad idea about this particular aspect. And one more issue as far as chapter 1 is concerned, first chapter is concerned, lack of inclusive growth and sustainable development. What is the definition of inclusive growth? What is the definition of sustainable development? What are the causes for rising inequality? If you observe, there is recently Oxfam report which is mentioning that in India after the pandemic there are rising inequalities in India. So, and what are the reasons for feeble distributive justice in India, and what are the consequences of this lack of inclusive growth and sustainable development? There will be poverty, there will be unemployment, low per capita income, low human development index, and you need to connect this particular aspect with the chapter 6, that is inclusive growth chapter of the Indian economy. So in this way you have to interconnect and you have to link it with all the other chapters, and you have to develop a perspective, and you have to prepare your notes. And as I told you, how to connect it to economic survey, if you observe, as far as inflation is concerned, I'm just giving an example. As far as inflation is concerned, this year's economic survey has broadly discussed about the inflation and how retail inflation has been, what are driving the retail inflation, what are the aspects that are driving retail inflation, and what is the reason for that. And one more thing, what is the rural urban inflation differential happening in India. And another important thing that this year's economic survey has discussed between divergence between wholesale price index and consumer price index based inflation rates. So maybe there might be a direct question, why is CPI inflation diverging from WPI inflation, and with WPI inflation being higher than CPI inflation, and they are given certain reasons also. Actually this is an extraction from my economic survey book. Maybe shortly I will be releasing this book, Economic Survey of India, which I have Economic Survey of India and Union Budget 2022-2023. So I will be releasing it soon. So if you observe, so what has driven retail inflation and why? Unlike 2021-22 December, when food and beverage drove inflation, during 21-22 April December, the major drivers of retail inflation have been miscellaneous category and fuel and light group. And contribution of miscellaneous group has increased from 26.8% in 2021 to 35% in 21-22. And contribution of fuel and light increased from 2.3% to 14.9%. So if you observe, the contribution of the contribution of fuel and light and miscellaneous group to the inflation of 2021-2022 during April and December period is more. And on the other hand, during the same period, the contribution of food and beverages declined from 59% to 31.9%. So why I am mentioning these aspects from the economic survey is that if there is any question as far as inflation or retail inflation is concerned, the trend of retail inflation is concerned in India, then you have to refer to this portion of the Indian economic survey. So in this way you have to have a organic link between your syllabus and economic survey. If you see the rural urban inflation differential, if you observe during this period, that is August 18 to October-November 2018, there is a big gap between rural inflation and urban inflation. If you see, urban inflation is more compared to rural inflation. What is the reason for this one? And one more area is this period, that is from October 2020 to like June 2021. So what are the reasons for this differential? So he has mentioned it here in his economic survey. See, the large gap witnessed between rural and urban CPI between inflation from July 2018 to December 2018 was largely on account of differential rates of food inflation. So food inflation is the main reason for this big differential. But the gap, however, has declined in 2020. Now, the two main divergence points, that is this one and this one. The two main divergence points, November 2022, March 2021 and September 2021 onwards. Sorry, this one. This is the one. This is the one area. Just wait. So this is the one divergence point and this is the another divergence point, that is November 2022, March 2021 and September 2021 onwards. The dominant factor in divergence pattern turns out to be food and beverages group. So the reason for this divergence point is food and beverages group. So in this way you need to see what are the reasons, what are the trends, and economic survey has beautifully explained all these things. And one more important aspect that has been discussed in the economic survey as far as inflation is concerned, the divergence between wholesale price index and consumer price index based inflation rate. So the year-on-year inflation rate based on WPI and CPI has recorded a divergence since June 2019. Between June 2019 and February 2021, wholesale inflation was lower than retail inflation. However, between March 2021 and December 2021, wholesale inflation remained above the retail inflation. What is the reason for that? So he has given certain points for certain reasons for that. The high WPI based inflation rate in 2021 is largely attributable to the low base of the preceding year. And other than that, retail inflation that had remained high during 2021 due to supply chain disruptions and high food inflation moderated in 2021-22. on account of effective supply side management. Because of the effective supply side management during 2021, the retail inflation, especially the food inflation, has been reduced. So that is the one more reason for the divergence between WPI inflation and CPI inflation. First one is low base effect, and second one is moderated food inflation, and then a reduction in the consumer price inflation, and one more is the weights of items in CPI inflation. These are based on the consumption pattern of consumers and households. However, in case of WI series, it is based on the net traded value to the domestic production by adding net imports to domestic production. So mainly because of the production orientation, mainly the weights in the WPI series are based in the production and traded value of the domestic production, and because of this there is a large weight to manufacture products and fuel and power group to the WPI series. And because of the pandemic induced lockdowns and pandemic induced production restrictions and pandemic induced economic slowdown, WPI inflation has increased compared to CPI inflation. Because of that, there was a divergence. And one more reason for the divergence, the economic survey is saying the lagging demand pickup. So because of this lagging demand pickup, consumption demand is yet to normalize fully, and because of that, consumer price inflation is staying low. At the same time, wholesale price index is staying high, and because of that, there is a divergence between these two. So here he is finally saying that thus, while on the one hand low food inflation is pulled up CPI, on the other hand high energy and input prices. So there is low food inflation, because of that the CPI is low. However, there are high energy and input prices, because of that WPI inflation is high. So because of all these reasons, there is a divergence between WPI and CPI. So these are the things, these are the perspective that you have to develop while preparing this chapter. So this is the end of chapter 1. I will be doing approach of some more chapters in the coming videos. So as far as Group 1 Indian Economy and AP Economy is concerned, that is paper 4 is concerned, you have to approach the chapters in this way. You have to connect it with the economic service and recent union budgets. You have to connect it with the recent programs, and you have to connect it with the nature, scope and consequences of those programs, and you have to prepare notes very shortly, precisely, succinctly, and you have to practice it again and again. So I'll be coming with the new chapter. Thank you.